Moving on to another game that is going to be played at noon Eastern time as well. Who didn't see this one coming? 5-1 Nebraska Cornhuskers taking on the undefeated and 16th ranked Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana have been so good, man. They have been so good all season long, and what a great story. But the Cornhuskers, 5-1, very solid play, obviously, on both sides of the ball. More about the defense, though, than it is the offense, and that's okay. Nebraska has 25 straight losses against ranked teams. Will that potentially come to an end? Their last win, and I know those of you that are Nebraska fans, I apologize in advance for reminding you of this, but their last win against a ranked opponent came back in 2016. That was against Oregon. And this is Indiana's second time in program history starting the season 6-0. The other time was in 1967. So very, very impressed with what I've seen from Indiana, but it should not be that much of a surprise. I mean, Curt Cignetti has done an amazing job. Brash mentality, says, hey, follow me. I know how to do this. I've done this before. I've done this at every stop. And right now, he is the fourth best in college football as far as career winning percentage. And the guys in front of him, Ryan Day, Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning. Pretty good trio that exists right in front of him in winning percentage. The guy wins 83% of his games, so he can get it done for sure. This will be by far, I think, the most significant test for Indiana up to this point. Question 1, can Nebraska's defense continue to generate pressure? Now, defensive pressure is really the name of the game for Nebraska. They're 7th in generating pressure. It's about 46% of the time, which is pretty dang good. So if they can continue to get offensive linemen on islands, I mean, Nebraska does a great job of that. They force the offensive line to play in silos, basically one-on-one. And they feel pretty good that the O-line that they're going against is not going to go 5 for 5. They might go 4 out of 5. And that one Nebraska Cornhusker defensive end, if he wins around the edge, boom, it's game, set, match. The good news is Indiana's offensive line's been pretty good. They give up pressure on just 19% of their quarterbacks' dropbacks. That's the third best in the country. A lot of it's because of its RPO. They're getting the ball out on time. And Curtis Rourke has a really good feel for where they're at in the offense. He's decisive and he gets the ball out. Question 2, can Indiana continue to dominate in the red zone? Indiana, literally nobody has more red zone penetrations than Indiana with 37. And nobody has more touchdowns in the red zone. 30 of 37 trips to the red zone have resulted in touchdowns. 30 touchdowns leads, 37 penetrations leads, and the red zone percentage of touchdown percentage, they are 6th in college football. So they've been really good. The thing about it is Curtis Rourke, he's probably going to throw it in the end zone because against this Nebraska group, they're pretty sporty. They're the only team nationally that has yet to allow a rushing touchdown. And the goal line stand against Rutgers was a thing of beauty. So just taking that into account is something worth monitoring. Question number 3, can Nebraska figure out their special teams woes? Now, this has been a big part of the conversation around Lincoln. This has been a big part of the conversation within the coaching community because Matt Rule, traditionally, they do all the little things right. Like that's how they won at Temple. That's how they've won at Baylor. But so far this year, it's been wild, man. It's been crazy to watch Nebraska and some of the challenges they've had in special teams. They have had 5 blocked kicks, including a couple of field goals against Purdue, a couple of blocked punts against Rutgers. The good news is there is a little bit of a silver lining because they are coming off a solid net punting performance. But then again, I mean, it was a 14-7 win against Rutgers. I mean, when the punter's your star, it's not great, but still, we've seen Big Ten West. I know the Big Ten West doesn't exist anymore. We've seen Big Ten West teams win with special teams in the past. So that was a benefit, but man, there have been just a few things that are problematic. Now, you have a couple of kickers that have been okay, whether it's Alvano on the short kicks, but he's now missing, whether it's John Hull, who's 1 of 5. Nebraska's 1 for 6 on field goals that are 30 yards or more. So that's a problem. But it's about snappers. It's about kickers. There have been times when I think people have even said, you know what, we'll just go for it on fourth down every time. So have they addressed some of those issues? Because now would be the time before it starts beating them in some critical games down the stretch. Question 4. Can Nebraska continue to play really smart football? Now, remarkably, considering where this team was a year ago from a turnover standpoint, the fact that they had 31 turnovers, minus 17 turnover margin, they were 132nd out of 133 teams as far as turnovers were concerned. The fact that they are plus 6 here at the midway point is pretty remarkable. Plus 6 is 12th in the country. They've committed just 4 turnovers. That's amazing. Absolute. Now, knock on wood, but still, you got to feel great about how much they've progressed. And that's with a freshman quarterback, mind you. A freshman quarterback that might, on occasion, throw into traffic because he's young and wants to try and see whether or not he can potentially get it done. So it'll be interesting to watch if this can continue, because they have not yet lost the turnover battle against anyone. Now, Indiana, on the other side, amazing. They have 4 turnovers this year. All 4 came against Maryland, a game that they won convincingly by scoring into the 40s. So all this being said, I think it's going to be a fascinating game. I can't wait to watch this game. Nebraska has failed to cover in 8 straight games against ranked opponents. That is the longest active streak in the FBS. I think that streak comes to an end. I like Nebraska to get the job done on the road. Now, part of it is I just don't know. I don't know if Indiana's offense has seen a defense quite like this. But I do know this. I do know Nebraska's defense has seen a pretty potent offense in Colorado. So what gives? We'll see. I think Nebraska is more battle-tested, and I think they get the job done.